Okay, I'd like to open this public hearing with the Board of Selectmen and join me in saluting the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome all of you to our meeting, and believe me, this is going to be a very informal meeting because I'm depending on our two men to... I'm not the chairman, I'm the vice chairman, and that's
more important than Jim.
No. Okay, so we will open the hearings to the issuance of two building permits. The first one on McDaniel Shore Drive, which is a private road. William and Renata, you said? Taylor. Do you have a representative?
I'll speak to it.
Oh, well, the gentleman's here, so maybe...
Be quiet. Okay. So this is for McDaniel Shore Drive, which is a private road.
Okay.
Peter Cook viewed McDaniel Shore Drive. He found the road to be in very good shape with a good solid base. He recommends that after construction of the home, the road be graded from Mary Hill Road to the property, and recommends that the Taylors join the Road Association to help with future maintenance. The issue went before the planning board, and they knew of no pending projects or conditions that would hinder the issuance of a building permit. This is a single-family home. Is it year-round?
It could be, it's not going to.
Okay. And McDaniel Shore Drive is a private road.
Okay, do members have any questions? Comments? Guess not. Anyone in the public that would like to have more information? Please state your name so that people are aware who's speaking.
My name is Steve Diamond, I'm with the planning board. It's my understanding that an official comment from the planning board was that there is a condition that would potentially obstruct the issuance of a building permit, that being that this property is on a road which does not meet the minimum standards specified in the Selectmen's policy on Class 6 and private roads. The road agent reports that it's between 12 and 20 feet wide. Much of it is 12 feet wide. There's actually one spot that's even a little bit narrower than that, where there's a big rock in the road, where I went to look, and a big bank on the other side. Especially with a significant amount of snow, it can be difficult to get a large fire truck through there. The Selectmen's policy states that roads must be passable at any time of the year, whether or not they are considered seasonal. The property also has a proposed well location just a few feet from the water's edge that may be effective under some circumstances, but it's definitely not a good idea. There's a bunch of ways that could be problematic. And I also noticed when I went there that there was a sign, as there is on a lot of roads like this, that stated speed limit 10 miles per hour, pass at your own risk. So there is a disclaimer that this body has people sign that somewhat exonerates you from liability. So the liability goes to the property owner. The property owner then subsequently passes on that liability to the public who uses it. Well, the buck gets passed several times, and if someone gets killed or maimed because the road is fairly deficient, the half the width that it's supposed to be. They're going to be looking for someone to go in and sue. It is possible, I've been told, that if the select board were to enforce this policy, that there's a risk of being sued. Well, stranger things have happened, not much stranger, but stranger things have happened, it could happen. There's also a possibility that the town could be sued if you don't enforce this policy.
I have a question.
Okay, Dan?
Mr. Diamond, are you acting as citizen, or the information that did you get from the planning board to make your decision?
Most of these comments are my own, although I'm the bit in the beginning where I'm clarifying that the board as a whole.
So you used information from the planning board to gather your personal opinion?
The first part where I'm passing on that the planning board as a whole commented that this proposal does not meet minimum standards of the Class 6 environmental policy. I have this information from going there in person and from information I received from the planning board. Otherwise, the opinions are my own. I do also have here the specific fire codes involved, which specify a 20-foot minimum width.
Thank you.
Could we possibly, Peter Cook is here, and Peter, you reported out that you felt that the road was appropriate.
Yeah, I did, and I still feel that way. Most of these camp roads, as we discussed at our last meeting, aren't 16 feet right of ways. Most of them are 10. Most of them are 12. You can't cut a 16-foot road through something that ain't go right away. And that's how most of these camp roads came to be.
I assume, could I ask Chief Walker a question? Yes. Chief, I assume there's already buildings along this roadway, year-round homes?
That's correct. We go down in there year-round. We've been down in there in the dead of winter, down all the way to the very end of that road. They do a reasonably good job of maintaining that road. We've not ever gotten, to this point, we never had an issue with getting to the road. Because I believe they do a good job of following the road. And as Peter said, the road, it's a camp road that was probably put in the 60s, and I'm sure that lot has been a lot of record since God knows when they've been paying taxes on it as they build the lot. So I'm not sure if you really have any ability to their ability to build a house there, because as Mr. Diamond said, they probably would sue us for all the money they paid in taxes over the years.
I can tell you part of the conversation that was had with the planning board was exactly that it is a existing road. If it were a new road, I would completely understand about the 16-foot road and the 4-foot, 2-foot shoulders on each side to give you the 20 feet. But as an existing road, you don't own the land around the construction of that road. So the planning board said, yes, we would be fine submitting it with a note saying, we recognize there is a town road standard that cannot be met with this, and that was where it was left with the planning board.
So it sounds like we've explored the majority of what needs to be explored with this.
Theoretically, there's right-of-ways and easements in front of everyone's property, and the public has a passage, that's it. If something happens in front of your house, you can get sued, I can get sued in the road. If you cause something, you're liable. So the liability of the town is not that much. It goes to homeowners first.
So I feel comfortable making a motion to accept this building permit.
Is this rock able to be moved at any time? It's in the road. They said there's a big rock in the road.
So, not in the road.
Not in the road, oh, on the side. Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
And that's with the conditions as recommended.
Yes, with the conditions as recommended by our road agent. So we have a second, John, do you want to proceed with that?
Yeah. I call for a vote?
I'm on the same.
We're going to abstain. Hardikoff, aye.
Hatch, aye.
Nap aye.
Okay, so I guess you're all set. The next one is Brooks Road, Class 6 Road, and that's under Rudy Cormier and Patricia Finnegan.
And again, Peter Cook viewed the road, inspected the road, noted it has a solid base. There are potholes. He also recommends after completion of the construction, that road be graded from the pavement to the property line, and he felt that would eliminate the potholes. This is for a single family, I think it's a year-round dwelling. And again, it's been before the planning board, and, let's see. And again, the planning board also, they expressed no objection. There were no pending projects or conditions that would hinder the issuing of a building permit at 175 Brooks Road.
Do you have anything you want to add, Peter? Okay. Rick?
I spoke to Mr. Cormier at length. He intends to put a modular home in there. They'll be brought in two pieces, so he'll have a from our perspective, maybe issue emergency services is to provide turnouts because it's going to be a fairly long driveway, but he also advises that due to the size of the house, that he's going to have a rather large driveway, so I don't see any issues with some of
And that's going to be on foundation as well. Correct.
The road was upgraded last year for another building permit.
Bob, have you got comment? I think we should be including Bob in some of these.
Sure meeting.
It's my...
You're the boss.
Well, I'm only one meeting.
Thank you. On either road, we have no issue.
Okay.
We only have one cruiser that's rear-wheel drive that can be problematic in the winter, but most of the private roads, the two we discussed tonight are not an issue for the police department. We have all rear drive vehicles. I've been on the roads, each of them myself, and I had no issue passing.
Okay.
If the fire truck can get in and out, our Ford Explorers and Tauruses can get in and out, and that's really what I gauge it, and that helps.
Thank you.
One quick question. Before we're issuing a building permit on each of these exceptions, are we sending out code enforcement or the road agent to be sure that people have followed through with the grading?
It's part of it after.
Right? So have we had circumstances where we've...
It's part of the...
That's what I was getting at, so... Okay.
Yeah, we actually started that process where that have them go out and check to make sure the grading's taking place. I just wanted to clarify one thing because it comes up a lot. But we've run into a big difference between closing private road and Class 6 road because in a lot of instances we do have right-of-way lists for Class 6 road, whether it is 3 wards wide or whatever. So there tends to be, they were actually laid at roads, there tends to be the width there in order to do the 20 feet wide or 60 feet wide with the 2-foot shoulders. So that's why you see that discrepancy a lot.
So,
And then I feel, I want to poll the board. I own property on private road, and I'd be voting on stuff like this, that's why I abstained in the last one.
I own property on a private road too, but that's my problem.
So do I.
No, you don't mind if I vote then?
I came 3 times before this board and got my road accepted. It was a hard-fought fight.
As far as I'm concerned, you should be able to vote, no problem.
I'll make a motion to approve the building permit for Brooks Road.
I would second it.
As pointed out, or as stated. Fair aye.
Hardikoff, aye.
Hatch, aye.
Nap aye.
So that one's done too. The next thing is an introduction of a new police officer.
this venue to introduce new officers to the community. I think it's important that the community know its officers. That's all the way out. Does that matter?
I don't think it's on. The button closest to you, press down.
And I didn't do it. Oh, yeah. All right, we're good now?
We're good.
All right, so thank you for letting us use this venue to introduce new officers. We've hired a new officer, Jamison Young. Jamison joins us with 2 years' experience from the New Durham Police Department, so he won't need to attend the New Hampshire Police Academy. Jamison grew up next door to us in the town of Stratford and spent a number of years in Barrington through sports and things like that. He currently lives in Rochester with his wife Brianna, who's here with us tonight. Thank you, Brianna, for being supportive of Jamison on his move into Barrington from New Durham. Jamison comes from a long line of family support in law enforcement. He's supported tonight by his family. His mom's here, his dad's here, grandmother's here, Brianna's parents are here as well. So it's good to have a strong family network of support. It certainly does make the job a little easier. His father, Scott, started his police career in Barrington, then went on to the town of Stratford to be the chief for a number of years. Scott's here tonight, standing in the doorway with his brother, Randy. When Scott retired from full-time chief of Stratford, I was happy to recruit him back to the town of Barrington as a part-time officer. So Scott's actually pulled part-time hours with Barrington since the 1990s. If you look at the seniority charts and the tenure at the town hall, Scott's been with us for a number of years. He'd work full-time in Stratford and come and pull a shift or two as needed on an on-call basis. So for all that service, Scott, thank you so much. So that's his dad. Then his uncle is standing in the doorway as well. Randy. Randy's a sergeant, full-time sergeant with the town of Stratford. It's Scott's brother, so he's very supportive. I've talked with Randy a number of times, gotten to know him throughout the years, and it's quite a dynamic. His younger brother is also a police officer in the town of Lee, Noah. Noah couldn't be here tonight because he's at the New Hampshire Police Academy. So it's good to have them here. They've certainly, fulfilled any type of service, to the community, and it's just, it's quite a unique situation. So thank you to the Young family for dedicating your careers and lives to helping others, especially in this time where just almost nightly you go home and it's, we're reflected negatively in the news, and just it's really become difficult to recruit and retain good officers, and he'll be just fine. So Jamison, I want you to know the town of Barrington, the community supports you. There was a resident who reached out to me when the resident learned you and your dad were both going to be working in town. The resident asked, if at all possible, not to schedule you both to work together. And they did this, and it is, funny if you know the family dynamic, but this resident didn't know the family dynamic, and it was a sincere, fearing that if something bad were to happen, that the Young family wouldn't have to suffer twice as much. So know that it was compassionate and heartfelt sincerity, and that person's in this room tonight. So know that the town of Barrington supports you, and we support the town. So it's good to have you. For ceremonial purposes, he's already been sworn in by the clerk's office, but I'd like to do it ceremonially here. So I'm going to have, I'll have you turn, face me. And last time I did this, I know. We had that talk. Yeah, we did. We had that talk. So when I say state your name, you'll say Jamison. Yeah. Right? And we love those guys. All right. So go ahead, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jameson Young,
Do solemnly and sincerely
do solemnly and sincerely
swear and affirm
swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as a police officer for the town of Barrington,
police officer for the town of Barrington,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Brianna, his wife, is going to go ahead and pin the badge on him. Stick him here. That's it. Congratulations. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. The next is an appointment to the Conservation Commission for Charles Briggs. Where's this application? Right there, right there. I got one. You just have so much paperwork, I don't know where I took it from. I know, that's the trouble. You need one? Okay, would you, anything you'd like to speak about yourself?
I guess, whatever was really important is in the application there, that I'm interested in conservation and in being a participating citizen in Barrington, and that's why I'm here.
Very good. And Dan,
I personally share in half dozen meetings with this gentleman. He's a positive person for our community. He's very knowledgeable.
What type of engineer are you, Charles?
I actually have a degree in physics, but I've been a practicing software and computer engineer for about 40 years.
Thank you.
So when you really think about Windows 10. I'll make the motion.
Well, hang on, Don, at this point you ask if there's any reason we should go into non-public.
yeah, does anyone feel we need to go into non-public
No.
to discuss this gentleman?
I'll make the motion. I have heard nothing but positive.
So I'll second the motion.
Okay,
Here, aye.
Hardikoff, aye.
Hatch aye?
Aye. Thank you for coming back.
I'm sorry, who moved and seconded that? First, second. Okay. No, unanimous.
Mr. Briggs, also sorry that there was confusion, so that you came early to a meeting where we had to... I just looked at the website, it said 5:30. So, anyway, we're glad you're here, and thank you for your service.
And the town clerk was in touch with you to come.
Okay, because that was his signature, and I obviously signed it again.
Suzanne, did you bring the... Yes. So we can sign it? Yeah, we'll sign it at the end. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we can maybe split you in right now, so you can do that.
She'd be very happy about that.
Public.
You want me to do a swearing in? Or would you like Dawn to? Back after Dawn, here you go.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep.
I, Charlie Briggs,
Yeah, okay. Do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a Conservation Committee member of Barrington, New Hampshire for 2 years, according to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God, this I do under the pains and penalty of perjury.
Please just say, I so swear.
I so swear.
If you ever repeat it all, I want to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your volunteerism. Yeah, no, I was looking at this, I'm supposed to sign
Get
it
your
too.
signature, sir?
want to take the picture, then you gotta do it from your signature there and date there.
I'm going to sign all of them.
Yep. It looks like volunteers, we just a date here. Ever get enough?
I didn't even get my name right, so.
Still, yes, please, and then our chairperson will sign. Very good. Gosh, I actually read this to know the print. You did great, John. You did great. Okay, the next thing is public comments, a maximum of 3 minutes, total limit 15 minutes, or schedule an appointment. And I say this nicely, but I don't think we need to hear the same thing 3 or 4 times. So if somebody else has said it, just merely say that you supported what they said, and that will save us some time. So is there anyone that wants to make, yes, stand up now? Yes.
When you speak at the podium, closed caption actually translates so that people who have a condition where they may be hard of hearing or deaf can actually see what you're saying.
And you state your name, please.
Hi. My name is Jackie Hookway. I'm a resident of Barrington for about 13 years, raised my family here. The reason I'm coming to you all, and good evening, is that I'd like to talk about the need for public transportation in our community. Barrington is a beautiful community. Love it. Have no plans of leaving. But it can be a little isolating for some people, especially those that have disabilities. I have 3 children. My eldest is 21, and between the ages of 16 and 21, typically developing young adults will get their driver's license. My daughter just got her driver's license, so at 21, she's now less isolated in the town of Barrington, but between those years where, you know, you go to the mall and you do things with your friends, she wasn't able to do that unless her mommy drove her, and that's not really cool. So we relied on the Wildcat Transport. She works at UNH part-time, and we relied on the Wildcat Transport that would go, bus transport, that would go from UNH to the Lee Traffic Circle and then beyond and up to Rochester. Well, I just found out about a month ago that they've since canceled that route. They did announce they had 4 public meetings, and they announced those on the bus routes. So they had flyers on the buses, and unfortunately for kids, young adults like my daughter, that information wasn't going to get read by her and be missed, and I didn't hear about any of these. Otherwise, I would have gone. So I did a little bit of looking around to see what other avenues we could look at for public busing, and the Coast Bus is currently undergoing a comprehensive operations analysis. Sounds really complicated, but I think they're really looking at different routes for the bus system. And now that we're going into a budget cycle, a new budget year, would be a good time. The community liaison for the Coast Bus said it would be a great time to just sort of talk about options for different routes. So I did talk to John, and I talked to, it's Connor, I bet you're Connor, right? Spoke to Connor, and I wanted to just, I don't know if Connor was able to take this forward at all, but I'd like to consider the fact that because we don't have the buses anymore from UNH, and we don't really have a local Coast Bus. It's really isolating in Barrington for a lot of young folks and a lot of older adults that aren't able to drive. So, anyway, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, well, we will certainly take your presentation under advisement, and we're missing our chairman tonight, so maybe he will, when he comes back.
I have a copy of the letter that I sent, so, here, I don't know if I have enough for me to copy it.
John, could you or Connor possibly respond with some of the information that was discovered after receiving
So,
I'm going to ask Connor to comment on that.
I reached out to the folks at Coast just to get some exploratory information, and the summary was shared with the board. For a fixed bus route, it'd be about $300,000 a year, and a demand response bus route would be about $100 for a round trip from Caliph's Corner up to Rochester, for as many as individual as one person or more. So the board's aware of that information and has a summarized report as, they review your comments and consider moving forward.
Is there any thought of maybe a reconsideration of...
For Wildcat?
Yeah.
So the next step is to get in touch with Wildcat. I tried to do that this week, but or last week, but I just didn't have the time. So I want to touch bases with Wildcat and see if there's any way to reconsider it for the next year, which is quite possible, because I posted this on Facebook and on our town Barrington Facebook page, and it did get some interest and also from other residents feeling a little isolated in Barrington. So,
Marcia, you've got something to add to this?
So, as your TAC representatives to Stratford Regional Planning, one of the things we discuss heavily, which is represented, is both Wildcat and Coast. I also serve on the policy committee, so I'm at Regional Planning twice a month. And one of the biggest topics we have is transportation. The Wildcat route was funded by a grant, and the reason that route is stopping is it didn't have enough ridership to, one, they didn't have any more grant money, and two, it just wasn't sustainable with the ridership they had. We're very fortunate. One of the folks that works for Coast actually now lives in Barrington. Actually tried to get him to be on the planning board. Very nice young man. But that's one of the issues we have, and we talked about at SRPC, was the cost of some of these routes, and how, when you're in a rural community, how difficult it is. Whether, we keep talking about whether there are alternatives. I know Steve Diamond, who was here earlier, serves on the policy committee, and he brought it up also, the need for some type of transit. So we'll see going forward. We'll keep that in our thoughts. We don't even have a cab around here, so it makes it really tough.
Yeah, I was going to say, it actually would be cheaper to pay for an Uber than it would to use the Coast transportation.
And for the elderly, for doctor's appointments, we have the Ready Rides, which is amazing, and they've also moved into Dover.
Ready Ride is not just for the elderly.
But for doctors.
For people requiring visits to medical appointments, testing, things like that. I just wanted to be clear, Ready Rides is not just for the elderly, and I was lucky enough to utilize them for a family member that was quite young at one time.
Yeah, and Mary Schmaltz does a wonderful job with that.
That's true. Very good, thank you.
Very good, thank you, Marcia. Yes?
So, two quick things. One, when my daughter before she had her driver's license, I I touch bases with the two local nearest taxi services, and they would not come on a regular basis to Barrington. So that was one option that was off the table. Second option is I did pay for Uber, and we paid $300 a month for Uber driving from Mass Road in Barrington to UNH. So it's one way.
How often were you using the service?
5 days a week.
Okay, that's where I get to work.
$10 a day.
No, 20.
Because it was
20.
days or more than 20.
15.
Okay, times 20.
15.
Somewhere between, okay.
Yeah. And I just want to make it clear what I'm looking for. I also work for Community Partners. I'm the director there. So we have Service Link. You can call and you can get and you get information on rides to go to doctor's appointments. You know, those things aren't a problem in Barrington. What is a problem though is the isolation that people have when they can't go where everyone else goes. And that's kind of the direction I'm taking on this, bringing this forward. And also, I don't know if it's possible to collaborate with another town. I know that I think my letter went, I didn't pass it on to him, but it went on to Senator David Waters. So, you know, I don't know how that would work, but if there's a relationship between a couple towns that could cover that. And I know it's all us also, the Coast Bus is all run on grants, just like you said. So if we were able to get a grant, it'd be a big grant. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, review of the minutes of August 20th. Were there any changes, alterations?
I was on vacation.
I didn't receive anything.
No, I'd make a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
And I'll second it. Okay, so now...
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hardikoff, aye.
Just cutting it short. Yeah, Hatch, aye.
Nap aye.
Okay, so the next is staff report.
A number of items in my report. The first is the town received a bid on Castle Lot 224, Lot 60 of $300. The assessment is $27,400. I recommend in this case that the town keep the lot. If we ever wanted to do something in the future, it would be good to still retain ownership. There is no requirement for the buyer to build a cul-de-sac or improve the road unless he or she gets a building permit, which seems unlikely. It's an abutter that wants to buy that lot. So the recommendation that I have, and I think the fire chief in the past has indicated he did not want the lot to be sold either. So what does the board wish to do with that proposal?
What about you, Peter? No, I don't either. First time I went, sat on the top of that hill and you're looking right off into space. I was surprised. Well, I have to say, I support what John says. I think that the bid was small. It may, in the future, be something we want or need, and if we don't, we can always sell it down the road. Dan?
Any public comment on this?
No, we're not.
If the person buying the property obtains, this is the 5-acre lot, correct?
Yes.
What would the increase in taxes be for this individual? What would we collect as a town annually by selling the lot?
Assuming that they file for an abatement based upon the, we would probably be getting $20, $30, $40 a year or something in that nature.
Are you saying if they're consummation?
Right, depending upon what they have, how they add it, how they do it. I'm saying that I would not anticipate that we're going to be receiving taxes on $27,000. We aren't going to be receiving $500 in taxes a year. It's not, I don't see that the taxes are going to be enough to make a difference in the decision.
Anybody else get, Dan? Did you, put it on record that you excused yourself from, this hearing?
Yes, I got it marked away, I think Susan got it. This board put out the bid with terms, buyer beware. A gentleman came in and whined about the conditions, so we put it back out to bid. I'm frustrated with this town as a citizen. You guys put stuff out to bid. You don't follow through with it. It's happened to me twice. I was the second bidder. And any other place, the place I bid, I would've got it. But you guys chose to put it back out. So now you're wasting taxpayers' money on refiling $250. And that gentleman who bid on that property will add another $756 a year taxes on that land, if it stays the same, John. But this has happened to me twice, and you want people to bid on stuff in town, you gotta show you'll follow through with stuff and do things right. And Dawn, you said you're a firm believer in the bid process.
I am a firm believer in the bid process. Sad to say, I think I was having a procedure done at the time, so I didn't get the chance to vote on it, but everybody knows I did not support backing down from the bid that was on the piece of property that on Pond Hill Road.
This has happened to me twice. So personally, that's why I not bid it again. So I understand the conditions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a quick response to this. When we use the terms that the board should do things right, the exception I would take to that is that sometimes to do things right means that you have to decline the bid because it is in the best interest of the town. So I respect your opinion, but I do not want to project to the public that the board has not done something right. With every bidding process, this board reserves the right to reject bids.
Well, I thank this board for taking, if you reject this, because now you'll be a landowner on Castle's Rock. You already did a estimate on a private road. You have conditions that to be met. So I thank this board.
Anybody want to add anything?
Is there a motion to return the deposit that the man made on the lot and to withdraw it from the, for sale?
I would make that motion.
And I would second it because, I support the bid the way it was, what John represented, so I would support that. So any further questions on it? Want to add anything? Okay. We'll vote.
Hardikoff, aye.
Hatch, aye.
Next item, sale of land on Berry River Road, 10489. The bid was $3,150. The assessment is $32,100. The one bidding is an abutter to the lot. I believe this lot is unbuildable. The abutter would gain water access across his land by buying this because he's on the back side of the road and this is on the river side of the road. So that's why the person bid on it. I don't see that you're going to get more money for this lot if you go out again. And I recommend the town sell this lot. I see no future for the town to use it or any other purpose.
John, I have a question in reference to your report. When you talk of the sale of Castle Rock, you say the bid was $300. Does that mean that you got a $30 check?
Yes.
Okay, I'm understanding. So, and then for this bid, you received a $315 check for a non-buildable lot adjacent to this person's
No.
property?
$3,000.
I can't remember what question that is.
Can someone fill me in? Is the person bidding $3,150 or $31,500?
The check is 10%, $315 for a bid of $3,150.
Okay.
And the assessment was, he bid 1/10 of what the assessment was.
1/10 of the assessment. When this person, should they obtain this lot, will it increase the taxes that the town collects? Because it becomes water access property.
Well, it goes back in the roads tax rate.
It will put, this lot will go back in and have a taxable value, and it will be, in my opinion, greater than what he bid on it, because it is water access, and we will revalue that. This is a different situation.
No, I understand. Okay, very good, thank you.
The lot is not non-buildable.
No, I was just gonna
It's marked as non-buildable.
Correct.
Would be, someone could build on it if they can get all the
Permits.
permits.
Setbacks from the water.
Setbacking and everything to make it work.
He probably could put a deck over there, a gazebo, something that didn't involve water and sewer. He could meet the
Right,
setbacks.
and we would collect how much in taxes on this if we sell it?
If we sell it, we should be collecting,
32 times 25.
$8,000 a year. $800 a year? $800 a year. Me adding extra zeros. Okay. So,
that's what I was going to hit.
can I make a motion? Yes, you can. I would make a motion that we accept this bid and sell the property.
I'm looking for a second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, may I ask you to vote on it now?
I'll abstain.
Hardikoff, aye.
That's right.
Yep, aye.
Okay.
Next item has to do with the request from the town clerk and the moderator regarding the attendance of selectmen at the primary tomorrow. Just a reminder, today is the 10th, tomorrow the 11th, there is a primary election in the state of New Hampshire. The middle school polls will be open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. We encourage people to get out and vote. The request was for the select persons to be present at the primary all day. My understanding, there's been a counter-proposal made by one of the selectmen that maybe in shifts they could try to cover the total hours available, but not all of them all of the time.
So I think we proposed over the course of the 12 hours that the polls would be open, or 11 hours, I'm not sure, but that we would cover 3-hour shifts, Dawn taking 8 to 11, Andy potentially taking 5 to 8, and that would leave 11 to 2 or 2 to 5 available.
What are you looking for?
Because I'm hoping that you'll participate.
I'll appoint someone.
Okay. Which shift would you like to appoint someone, 11 to 2 or 2 to 5?
2 to 5.
Okay, I'll take 11 to 2 then.
And we are shorthanded, and depending on what the turnout looks like, we have jobs for you.
That's fine.
Time goes by fast.
I would just ask that next year, if we're shorthanded, that we know so that we can reach out to registered voters that may want to participate and ask people.
It won't be next year, it'll be next November.
Sorry, in November.
It's
So if we
getting
get-
harder and harder to find somebody who will stay for 12 to 14 hours.
Yep, absolutely, but if we're given notice, we'll reach out to people and look for volunteerism as well.
And we're looking now.
Right, I think for the November meeting, we'll be better prepared. This kind of came up at the last minute, so.
They changed the law on Friday that we found out about.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been easy.
Okay, highway equipment. Replacement of the six-wheel dump truck, we have asked Liberty Truck to do an estimate. They have estimated that basically it's going to cost almost as much as a new truck to redo and refurbish the old truck. And you'd still, I mean, they gave the detailed specification. for a third to a half of the work, and it came to over $100,000. We can buy a new truck. My recommendation is we use the $55,000 of state grant money and authorize expending from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund for the balance to advertise for a new truck, plow, wing, dump, and sander. If we advertise, that bid would come back to the board for approval, and at that point, the board could make a decision. But I do not believe that the repair option is a financial viable way of going for a frontline piece that's required, on an emergency basis, is to be out there, regardless of what the weather is.
Don?
Yes.
Was the estimate shared with us?
Yes.
Can I see a copy of it?
You got a copy today.
Which,
I
to be
didn't.
completely fair, to send an estimate, I mean, I didn't see it till tonight because I've been in meetings since 1 o'clock this
Yep.
afternoon.
It didn't come in until today. We've been trying for a month to get it.
The night of is
So you want to table it until the next meeting?
I think there's enough information there for us to make a decision, to be honest.
There's a lot of information, that's for sure.
So the good part is due diligence was done. We have...
Timely manner.
Well, I hear you. Why don't you take 5 minutes and review it, but due diligence has been
I
done.
need 5 days, according to the rules.
The man at Liberty indicated, Dan, you could go and talk with them. I want to put it out to bid. If after talking with Liberty Truck, you persuade the board that you don't want to go with a new truck, that we can just drop the bids. But I want to get started because this is a winter maintenance piece of equipment, and it's going to take us a while to get it up and running.
No, this is bad management.
It is not bad management. You dependent upon Liberty Truck.
No,
It
you
was
should
dependent upon, may I finish?
No, you should provide...
I thought I had the floor.
Dan? John has prepared.
If I may, the day after the board suggested renovating, Peter went to Liberty Truck. He asked them for a quote. He's followed up asking them. They did not get back to him until today, and even today when he chased them down, they weren't totally done, but he got everything he could from Liberty Truck. You have that information. And as I indicated earlier, all I'm asking for tonight is permission to advertise and to go out for a new truck. If after reviewing this and talking with Liberty Truck, you can convince the rest of the board that renovating that old truck is better than buying a new one, that's what the board can decide to do.
Okay, now have you got something you want to say?
You know the cost of a new truck, Ellen?
The cost of a new truck, we're estimating to be somewhere in the $180,000 range.
Well, I appreciate that we would like as much pre-information as possible. The difficult part in making decisions is that this board meets sometimes just once a month. The other difficult part is that there are state dollars involved that we otherwise can end up losing if we wait too long. And while in the best interest of everyone, having lots of time to review information is important, the bottom line is that to fix this truck is $117,000+, and it makes absolutely no sense to repair it.
That's one price, but I'm not gonna argue this. This is just poor management, not against Peter, nothing against you, but John, you should have tabled this and give us more time and stuff, and then just because you wait the last minute, everything's at the last minute, we gotta turn it now, we're gonna lose it. You had plenty of time with this money.
If I may, there was a Nobel Prize given for an economist who developed a philosophy, an economic theory of what's called satisficing. And that means that oftentimes you have to make a decision without all of the information, but depending upon the situation, you may have enough information to make a valid decision. And the example they used was building fences. And of course, that's right down my alley. when it comes to building fences, if you're fencing in $1 million thoroughbred in Kentucky, you're gonna build yourself a wooden fence that's painted and in a beautiful shape. If you're fencing in a longhorn in Texas, you may have one string of barbed wire strung from cactus to cactus. They are both satisfactory fences for the situation which they are needed. And in this case, I feel I have given you adequate information to make a decision between renovating an old truck or buying a new truck.
And also, being in this field, I mean, I can sit here and look at these bracket 62, 65, you get it for 5107. But are you going to read every one of these things, or are you going to take their total, which is 87,562, as the figure? I mean, personally, somebody worked hard getting all this stuff together, and I don't blame John for something coming from Liberty. It's where it came from. If they didn't get it ready in time, that's neither Peter's fault nor John's fault. That's comes from the factory, the Liberty. So, as far as I'm concerned, when I look at what the price is on refurbishing this 2003 truck, it's a figure that is, I don't want to say unreasonable because I'm not in the parts, but
I would make a motion to go out to bid for a new truck.
I'll second the motion.
any further discussion?
No.
Okay, then I'll ask for a vote.
Here, aye.
Hardikoff, aye.
Hatch, aye.
Cap, aye.
Next item,
Our road agent had a comment.
I assume all of it was included in the bid.
Yes, for a truck.
Yeah, because you need a
and the
sander, you need a plow, you need a wing, you need...
Based on our road agent's recommendations for the item. Okay.
Maybe in time, if we got
I'll bring this up next meeting.
a plow and
Thank you.
wing and whatever that was in good shape, maybe we could carry it farther than the truck.
Yeah, right.
I'm saying if we had a plow, wing, sander that was in good shape, maybe we could carry it farther than the truck. So, just a statement, that's all.
If I may, the other piece that I wanted to bring up on highway equipment tonight, will the board authorize advertising for sale the 2003 Chevrolet pickup, which with a plow, and the 2007 Ford medium-duty plow truck and sander? They've both been replaced, and this would be sale of surplus equipment.
We always ask if there another department that has a need for it before.
I was thinking the school department. Have we asked the school department?
The school department won't run that old of equipment. Yes. I didn't say it that way.
Okay, select person now.
Okay? Yes.
I think the motion you get it out of bid now, so we get a good price on it coming in the fall.
Okay.
So I would second the motion.
The old Ford 550. That's the one we bought the new Ford. That one's come in, so we no longer need that one, and the pickup truck, I don't think it's run for a while, has it?
That's off the road.
Just in your summer, I'm sure they do it quicker than time together, that's my idea. So we have to advertise one year, a couple months later, advertise the other. Just going to do,
So this says a first and second, so I will ask if there's no further questions or input for a vote.
That aye.
Hatch, aye.
Hardikoff, aye.
Here, aye.
And that's all I have in my report. Oh, I got one other thing, I'm sorry. Just had to announce it earlier. George Bailey wanted it read in the meeting that multiple Barrington residents have reported a recent phone scam where multiple past due charges are indicated. A number is given to make the necessary payments. The police have been notified. He gave the number from which the calls are coming, but I know they keep changing what number the call comes. When I was in Europe even, I was getting phone calls from Dover that were junk. I wasn't even answering them because as soon as I don't recognize a number, I no longer answer most of them because they have found a way of making it look like it's coming from a local call, but it's this government is coming to get you unless you send me in Nigeria, right?
250 rupees.
I thought it was really strange, they actually said to me, the cops will come get you. And I said, anybody professionally would not say, the cops are gonna come get me.
You might say, oh, good, I haven't seen him since yesterday.
Tell me when, I'll put the pot on. Okay, our next is old business, is a report on the cemetery software.
Oh, this is just stuff that might come up. I'll get you an update for the next meeting on where we're at on that.
Trail booklets too, so. Okay.
You and I had a conversation about getting the board an update as to where the technology review was from the new contractors, so that...
I'll ask Connor, he's been spending, I tasked that to Connor and he's now handling it.
Okay, just so that we can figure out when we have that report and make the technology committee review it,
Right.
so we can have an appropriate technology committee meeting.
Right, so they've been making forward progress. The gentleman from Rockport that will be the on-site person came in for the first time today, and he'll be here weekly, every week, forever. And this next 4 or 5 weeks, he'll be here all day on Mondays, and then after that, it'll probably be half days. So he was the integral part on completing that assessment. The first part, and maybe all of it, will be ready for September 27th. And I mentioned to him, I do suspect that the technology committee should be the first ones to review that. And I'm guessing that not only will there be policy recommendations, but there also might be some equipment recommendations which the technology committee should review.
I had given them, the 27th is when I start finalizing the budget for presentation, so that's been the deadline I've been giving to people. And in particular, I thought there might be some hardware, but 27th is a Thursday. If you wanted to, we probably the following week maybe have a meeting for the tech committee.
Yeah, I want to get it in their hands. As soon as we get it, we get it in their hands and then schedule a meeting. That way everybody has appropriate time to review it.
Okay.
And an update on Office 365, that is being rolled out. Deployed.
And we purchased the cemetery software. Have we started anything with the cemetery software yet?
I'll get you an update on it.
Okay, very good.
The person who was in charge of it has had some new assignments, and I just make sure that that's still going forward.
The two gentlemen who are in charge of the cemetery are directly in front of us.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 trustees are here.
Should they want to provide an update on the spot to the board so that we don't have to wait, feel free.
Yeah, because you're looking at 2 of the more computer savvy people in the world, but I talked to Peyton the other day. She has not started on it yet. There was a little bit of a glitch with the company getting the information to her, but it was on the company's end, not on our end. But she assured me that, I think it was this week, that they were going to be sending stuff along to her. She did give me the information I needed for budget purposes, but other than that.
Great. That might be a great project to manage an MPA intern on, by the way. Should you want to consider that, all of you?
She's looking forward to doing it.
Okay, new business, is there anything under new business? The one thing I would like to say, and it should be under old business because he's doing it every year, but I think your road mowing is really looking good. You know, the first couple of years it was scraggly because of the size of the bushes, but it looks great, Peter. So please pass it on to Dana.
I'm going.
Yes.
I didn't get to Gary Drive. Are you gonna get to Gary Drive this year? We got money?
I'm working on it, but in all honesty, the guy that runs the mower, been in the mower also. He started this in, I want to say April, but he's been in that every day. So he hasn't done anything that's been in that.
No, but we retained some money for to pay for the expense.
Gary?
Yeah.
I made that. Did, that part of town, did Mary Hill Road. 2 months ago. Tammy and Gary and added to the list.
Yeah.
I thought that was on the list to be done.
I believe what Dan is referring to, they gave us money.
St. Matthews, Gary.
I think that Marcia is aware of, we're holding money for them to complete that, and we were gonna do it and then bill that, so we just make sure that gets on the list.
Actually, St. Matthews, sorry.
Under new business, there was a request from the planning board that the town consider posting town-owned property as dusk till dawn, closed from dusk to dawn. Like recreation, conservation, as a way to make sure that people have, so for hunters, fishers, fishermen, fishing ladies, whatever you want to, fisher folk.
Yeah, they made it the police will enforce it.
Persons participating in the activity of fishing.
Good Lord. That there is a method for them to be in there fishing at appropriate times or hunting at appropriate times, usually the hunting being slightly before dusk and then they get told just after. Yeah, before dawn and just after.
I think it's like a half hour before and a half hour after, something like that.
Do we allow hunting on town-owned land?
What's that? Well, then you have to bring your, you have to get permission. Let the police chief know you were in there fishing for
I used to love hunting up there.
Doug and I used to go.
A good warm summer night, you go out there, you just kind of sit there and
one power. Those are like
Like catfish.
Yeah, catfish. They're bullhead. They got the little barbs on this.
Yeah, you have to, this one, take them out, cast that sweet.
Yeah, there we go.
As long as you don't think about where they been.
Okay, any more new, any,
So there was a request from the planning board for us to consider adding that to our, policies that we have, as an ordinance that we have for.
Okay, town ordinance, gotcha.
And then you don't want people camping out there too.
the next
Well, it
thing,
stops that sort of thing, which I can tell you there was some pushback from members of the board because they said, we were all young at one point too and went to places like that to do things that you do in those places.
fishing.
Yes, yeah, like fishing.
That's right. See? Okay, so we've gone through that. Now the reports from the select persons. Yeah?
Give your report.
Give us your report.
Well, I'm waiting for more of a report from the, on the Anderson Rubenstein properties. Are you news to talk about that, John?
Haley Panish and Rubenstein?
I just put that as information. I assume Conservation is still working on that, working on grants, and they'll be in front of the board before they're done, so.
I have something, I didn't attend the meeting Saturday, and can the chairman speak?
I'm a little perplexed, but I'm perplexed a lot of the time, but I thought John Wall was going to be here because he said this was a meeting where
Like,
it was going to be tonight. I thought he was going to be here. And what John asked of us as the Town Land Committee was to take a look at, it's map 240 lot 5, there's a little 4.1 acre, and you'll have, this is the only property.
you want to back up this?
There's a little 4.1 acre piece down off of the end of Ross Road, which is landlocked, but it is adjacent to the Rubenstein property down there. You'll see when John gets that to you, it's a little chipped out corner of the Rubenstein property that Baxter gave to the town, I don't know, 8 years ago. They didn't want to pay taxes on it, but it made sense. It was unanimous. We thought the committee thought that be put into the menu there and make that conservation land also.
Can we possibly add that to the October meeting?
I'm not sure when it's going to be right for the conservation.
Right, because they're applying for grants now.
Okay, so we should wait on this.
But the town's lands, the committee that the Selectmen formed is doing their job and looking into the best interests of the towns to make recommendations to us. So they did a vote yesterday, and they recommend to,
I wouldn't recommend, but it
squares it off.
I'm assuming it's this. Oh, it's that?
That lot right there.
Oh.
This colored one shows.
Yeah, colors help them. Okay. No, it's...
Brown right there, I got you. That's the Rubenstein lot.
Yep, so it's right next to that. And there's no public access, and there can't be, without, well, let me ask. Right, but do any of these other properties have written into their deeds access to that property? So it's landlocked, okay, gotcha, totally, gotcha, okay.
Town's had it for a
That's why
while.
the experts looked into it.
The experts have done their job.
No.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
So, your report?
So
I'll finish mine.
Oh, sorry
Well, that was part of mine, and the conservation met Thursday night, I made that one. The Round Pond, Rochester Waterworks came in and saw us, and they want to raise the dam up. They'd like to do 10 foot by 8 foot, definitely 8 foot, and then have some impacts on surrounding areas. They're gonna double the supply of the water by raising it 8 feet.
Was David here?
No.
Yeah.
No.
They bought David Lane's land last I knew in order to be able to do this.
Yeah, there's a couple easements over there.
He had a list of Ron David.
Yeah.
But they did a presentation and stuff, and they'll be coming to see us, I'm sure.
No, not necessarily the board. They've got to go to the planning board because it is a municipal project that needs to come for advisory review to the planning board, so it's going to the planning board.
No, they said they're gonna have
Public hearing at the planning board, yes.
and then at the conservation too.
Oh, yes, I thought you meant the selectmen. No, they're going to conservation, they're going to planning. The issue that's before the Board of Selectmen is I would call it remotely linked interest in that we need to renegotiate the pilot, which is the payment in lieu of taxes.
Right.
It was last done when I was city manager in Rochester, so that puts it back about 10 years. And Farmington had a significant increase in what they asked for on the pilot, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out legally, but it may help to indicate the path for us to follow as far as how much we can increase the pilot.
So when will we put that on the select board's agenda?
I'll try to get it in October. I'm assuming let me put October as a target.
Going to be based on what the assessed value of the land is and the service that we're providing with the resource that they're gaining from it.
As I remember, it's unrelated to the resource. It's related to the lost taxes that the town incurs because this land is, they bought house lots and put it into water land, so that instead of it being taxed by the town for house lots, it's now taxed at a water land rate. And that's what the pilot is about. It's about the assessment that we place on the land that's no longer available for development within the town. And that's the bigger issue than the water.
Okay. So we'll have it on the next agenda.
I'll put it in October. I can't guarantee.
Okay.
Okay. Your report?
So our select board met at the same time that the rec commission was meeting. So the only thing I have to report out at this point is that there is a connection through the rec department website where people in the town, residents, can participate in the recreation department master plan. They're still gathering information. I think it's important for residents to participate in this and provide the information that's being asked about what services going forward should be offered through the rec department, what buildings should be built, potentially what access areas should be used for recreation in the town. So I'm hoping that anyone watching our video goes to the Recreation Department website and logs on and participates in that survey.
Okay, and we did not have a zoning board meeting this month, so I have nothing to report on the zoning board.
All right, planning board had a meeting. You folks approved the two applications that were in front for building on private class roads. And the other one was there was a further design review with 162 Real Estate and John and Linda Svensson on the road construction and parking lot for Christmas Tree Lane.
That was actually the application that was
Oh, okay. Yes, sorry, the application, which I did vote, I seconded and voted on. Which I'm looking right at, I have the second and vote right at. And then John Wallace came before from an advisory standpoint for the Conservation Commission on the 6 to 7 parking spots for the Franklin Pierce spot, also known as the Winnie the Pooh Conservation Area, where the Winnie the Pooh Trail is.
Okay.
And I believe that is everything that I have.
Okay, and Chairman Bailey, as he's not here, we won't expect a report. So,
Ruber is warmer than we are.
Drier too.
and so public comments?
So I passed some information along to Mr. Scruton regarding the National Clean Diesel campaign. We're always looking for grant opportunities. The DES will be at the Policy Committee for Regional Planning a week from Friday to explain it further. It was out last year. They anticipate between the EPA money they had and the Volkswagen diesel settlement to be about $1 million. If John would share that with you. There are a lot of strings attached, so to speak. For most of, like, if we were to replace one of our dump trucks, it would be 75% the town and 25% from the grant program. The stipulation being you can't have scheduled for it to be replaced within 3 years, and the vehicle that you're replacing has to be destroyed. So that's some kind of, can be a bit of a hard pill to swallow. I was trying to look at what Pete had, and I'd sent the information to him, thinking maybe the 07, it would be replacing it ahead of the 04, but, and also, the grader, and in those instances, our grader is very old, so you would probably need to get some type of a waiver, because it's not supposed to be items that are regularly scheduled to be replaced, because what they're trying to do is to get the semi-dirty vehicles off the road, not ones that you're definitely going to replace. But I'd like you to look through it because there are some other options as to, like, replacing motors and different facets to it. And I'll have a clearer understanding on a week from Friday, but just so that you're aware.
Right. If I may, my understanding was our old trucks, like the one we just voted on tonight, are too old for us to use this grant on.
Well,
You don't want to use it on the new trucks. You need to use it on something that's, like, our schedule for depreciation is on 15 years, so where that truck's 15 years, it's not going to...
Right, that's why I
Got to
would,
get to something that's like 10.
like the 07.
The 07.
The 07 I looked at is a possibility. So it's something, and I don't know what the history is, sometimes we have newer trucks that have more issues, but it's something to think about. I do not believe from reading through it that it would include like the plows and whatnot. It would be strictly the vehicle itself, and then they require you to drill a hole through the motor of the other one. You can scrap and keep certain things, but...
Would that be something that would also be beneficial for the fire department?
Yes, actually, yes. I think, and I don't know if it was different Graham, but Graham, they may have done it through this one. Some places, loaders, graders, they're large ticket items. The other caveat is you're supposed to use it for at least 500 hours a year.
So that would knock out the grader right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They're pretty close. The other thing is, with the grader, I mean, I could have some discussions with DES. The other thing is, we kind of reciprocity on some of those pieces of equipment. If, when we do that with like the city of Dover, because they don't have a grader, those hours count, those types of partnerships we have. Those are all questions.
If you get more than 25%, if you do it with another community, because I remember some projects in the past, if you get every community you get to buy into it, you get 10% more in the reimbursement or something like that.
I'd have to ask, definitely.
If not, we'll see Pete driving down the road in the grader taking laps tomorrow.
But anyways, that's what they're requiring, because they want to see that it's cutting back on the emissions.
I remember, yeah, I've used it.
Thank you.
Just a heads up, Saturday, September 22nd is the Highway Shed Open House. I believe it's...
Starts at 8.
Yes, it starts at 8, goes to 3. I think this is either year 6 or 7. So... 8 to 3? 8 to 3? Yeah.
It's already posted on Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
I fully support it. It would be nice that we knew that it was coming up before I saw it posted on Facebook, though. That's my only comment on it.
There will be documents.
Yeah.
We'll come visit. I still need permission.
Okay, the only other thing I've got, I just received a note from Dan, who would like to call a...
Non-public.
Not, yeah, well, let me get there. Call a non-public meeting.
Personnel repetition.
Personnel.
Quick. 1 minute. Someone make a motion?
Motion's made the motion.
I need a motion.
We said the second public hearing, public comment. Okay, so Dan Ayer moved.
To call a non-public
Personnel repetition.
For the night. Quick.
1 minute, I guarantee it.
Second.
You couldn't talk just 1 minute if your life depended on it.
Well, you forgot my staff report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All I have is 2 land use change tax warrants totaling $12,000, vendor manifest dated September 5th, and payroll manifest dated September 2nd.
Oh, and Susan can stay for my 1 minute. Non-public.
I just want to be clear, the polls close at what time tomorrow? 7 o'clock. So Andy, I have you 5 to 7. I have Dan 2 to 5, or he'll provide a representative. I'll be there 11 to 2. Suzanne and Dawn will start the day 8 to 11 at the polls.
See, I'll go down in the morning, and then I will come back to work for the town, and then I'll go back at 3.
Okay.
So, I will let Kim know, too.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Do we need any staff in here?
I don't.
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure we voted to go into non-public.
No, I was just going to say that, oh, you did second it?
Yeah, just so
Sorry.
we can figure out what's going on.
Okay. So I guess we're going into non-public session, so we'll see you all later.
I won't stand up at the door in time because I don't think you can.
Well, I take that bet.
Isn't that a state statute? Selectmen have to be here as opposed to appointing somebody to...
No, I believe you're allowed to have a pro tem appointed, so what they're saying is the moderator appoint somebody for the, because he did for...
I was gonna tell you, George asked me to cover switches.
Yeah.
Step in for a few minutes, just...
Well, Chief, given that you may actually be on a fire scene, I think the rest of us will make sure we're there as well, so thank you, though.
Any reason why we couldn't...
Appreciate it.
...that ourselves, why it was affecting...
Shut the door, Rick.
Thank you. Camera off.
No, sorry, I shouldn't.
Wait till the camera's off, Jim.
So this is...
Did you record a vote to go into non-public?
No.
Yep. Well, Dan made the motion, Andy seconded.
I'm rolling my eyes, sorry.
Now the,
Dan feels there's a need, Hardikoff eye.
Hatch eye.
Here, initial.
Chairperson.
The agreement and release regarding the building permit signed by... As long as... one signature, correct?
Okay, yeah.